Alright, so this is going to be my 2025 NFL mock draft. Starting off with the Tennessee Titans, I have them taking Cameron Ward in the first overall pick. That's a pretty obvious pick here. Number 2 is the Cleveland Browns. So as you can see, their team needs, they are quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle. The best player available here is probably Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And logically, Travis Hunter is a great pickup for Cleveland, so that's who I'm going to pick for them. Next up is the New York Giants, who I think they're going to just have to take best player available. Taking Shedeur Sanders this high doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my opinion, so Abdul Carter is a perfect pick for New York. Now the New England Patriots at number 4. They need an offensive tackle pretty badly, and Will Campbell just so happens to be one of the best players available in this draft. So again, that just makes too much sense to pass up. Number 5 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their highest need is a defensive tackle, and the best player available here is Mason Graham, which is a defensive tackle. So again, it just checks out too much to not get him there. Number 6 is the Las Vegas Raiders. They need a corner, a running back. Best player available is Ashton Jeanty, and they definitely need a running back pretty badly. I think it makes a whole lot of sense for them to potentially trade down if they wanted to go for a corner. But I think taking Ashton Jeanty here is a great pickup for them. Number 7 is the New York Jets. They definitely don't need a quarterback, so they're not taking best player available here. Personally, I think they need an offensive tackle pretty badly, and again, Armin Minbao is one of the best players available as well, so that does make a whole lot of sense. Number 8 here is the Carolina Panthers. They need a lot of things, honestly. In my personal opinion, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to go out and get an amazing wide receiver product in Tedaroa McMillan. Number 9 is the New Orleans Saints. They definitely need a quarterback if Derek Carr is going to be injured, but I still don't think Shedeur Sanders is worth the number 9 overall pick. So with that said, I think a corner like a Will Johnson is a great addition as well. Number 10 is going to be the Chicago Bears. They need an offensive tackle, probably. They also could use defensive help. Personally, I think they signed a decent amount of they've signed a decent amount of O-linemen already, and the offensive linemen available now aren't great for the value that they have at their pick. So taking a guy like a Jalen Walker, who could be a linebacker or an edge rusher, is a good pickup for them. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers at pick 11. They could definitely use an offensive tackle, and a guy like Kelvin Banks down here, certainly out of Texas is a really good pickup for them. So that's who I'm going to have them taken. Number 12 is the Dallas Cowboys. They could definitely use some defensive help, in my opinion. A guy like Michael Williams is a great addition here. He's one of the better defensive players available. He's ranked pretty low on this list, but I think he's better than number 21 overall ranked, in my opinion. Number 13 is the Miami Dolphins. They kind of need a lot of help, in my opinion. A tight end like a Tyler Warren is a great addition to this team. They do have a Jonnu Smith, but I think Tyler Warren's going to be a great project. I think it's kind of crazy if they pass up on him here. Next up is the Indianapolis Colts at 14. They were also a guy that definitely needs a tight end, but at this point, the best one just got taken off the list. So I think going after a great defensive edge piece in Shamar Stewart is a really good pickup for the Colts. Number 15 is the Atlanta Falcons. They could use a corner specifically. There just so happens to be some corners available here, for them, like Ojade Barron down here from Texas. He's pretty good. I think that's a good pickup for Atlanta. Number 16 is the Arizona Cardinals, who need an edge, D-tackle. Definitely need a defensive lineman here. I think getting an edge guy in Mike Green out of Marshall is a great pickup for Arizona. Number 17 is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. They need a lot of help as well. I think taking a guy like Colson Loveland out of Michigan is a great pickup there at tight end. He's going to be a great addition to this offense and be a really good weapon for Joe Burrow. Number 18 is the Seattle Seahawks. They definitely need secondary help, in my opinion. Not necessarily at the corner position. I think a safety is a pretty good idea. A guy like Malachi Starks out of Georgia should be a great addition to the Seattle Seahawks secondary. Number 19 is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their biggest issues are pretty much their entire defense. So going for one of the better defensive players available, like a Jihad Campbell, I think is a great linebacker out of Alabama. That's who I'm going to have Tampa Bay taking at pick 19. Denver is a team that definitely needs a running back, and Omarion Hampton is a solid running back. He might still be a little bit low for the value here, but the Broncos really need a running back badly, so I feel like it's okay to kind of reach a little bit and get Omarion Hampton here at pick 20. Pick 21 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Definitely need a quarterback, but again, they're probably going to be signing Aaron Rodgers, so drafting Shedeur doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think they could easily go and get a wide receiver like a Matthew Golden here out of Texas. That'll give them a great receiver trio of George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and then Matthew Golden. Number 22 is the Los Angeles Chargers. They need a defensive lineman pretty badly, and Derek Harmon is a great addition to this defensive line coming out of Oregon. Number 23 is the Green Bay Packers. They could use a defensive lineman as well. A guy like a Kenneth Grant is a pretty good defensive lineman here available. He's ranked kind of low on here, but I have him a little bit higher. Out of Michigan, definitely has that Jim Harbaugh connection there as well. So that has something else going for him. I think he's ranked a little bit low on this website. Number 24 is a Minnesota Viking. They need a secondary guy pretty bad. Nick Emanwari is one of the better, available players in general, and he just so happens to be a position of need. So that's who I'm going to take to get in their safety out of South Carolina. Number 25 is the Houston Texans. They could easily use an offensive tackle. Getting a guy like Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, has that Ohio State connection with C.J. Stroud, of course, and then it's going to be a big addition to this team. They definitely need an offensive lineman pretty bad. Number 26 is the Los Angeles Rams. They don't necessarily need much of their offense. They need a lot of defensive guys, but personally, I'm actually going to have them taking Shedeur Sanders here. Obviously he's not going to be starting for them right now, but Matthew Stafford only has 2 years left on his contract, and he's been talking about retirement every season. So, maybe he retires next year, maybe he plays 2 more years, but then Shedeur Sanders, is going to be probably pretty good if he sits behind Matthew Stafford for a year or two. And with Sean McVay as his head coach, he could easily develop quite a bit in the next year or two and be a really good starting quarterback when he does get called upon. Next up is the Baltimore Ravens here at pick 27. They did an offensive lineman, I think, in my opinion. A guy like Grey Zabel out of North Dakota State's a great option. Tyler Booker as well as another offensive guard. I think Grey Zabel is a little bit better than Tyler Booker, though, in my personal opinion. Number 28 is the Detroit Lions. So they definitely need some defensive help, whether that be edge or the interior. Walter Nolan should be a great defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. That's who I'm going to have them drafting. Number 29 is going to be the Washington Commanders. I don't necessarily think they need a receiver that badly, but when you got a guy like Emeka Egbuka, who I think is still underrated, I think he's a great receiver. He's probably going to be the best receiver in this draft class, in my opinion. Personally, even though he's not ranked necessarily that high, I think taking him, forming an elite wide receiver trio with Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin is a great move here for Washington. Number 30 at the Buffalo Bills, who they'll probably end up trading this pick with the Chiefs for something, but I think they need a defensive edge piece pretty bad, whether that be a linebacker or an actual edge guy. A guy like James Pierce out of Tennessee, I think is a great option. That's who I'm going to have Buffalo drafting. Chiefs at 31 also kind of need an edge piece. They could use an interior defensive lineman as well, but there's just not great value at that position here in this draft. So taking a guy like a Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College, not sure if I said that name right, but I don't really care too much. I think he's going to be a great addition to this Chiefs roster. And then last but not least is the Philadelphia Eagles, who don't necessarily need any skill positions offensively, so they're not going to be taking any of those guys, but they need an offensive or defensive lineman really. And Tyler Booker is the best player available. He should be a great offensive guard here out of Alabama, so he should be a great addition to Philadelphia as well. So that is going to be the end of that. I'm going to talk about a little bit of second round or potentially later round quarterbacks that I think could happen, but I will pause this and then get back to you. Okay, so here's going to be my quarterback predictions for all the other QBs that I think are going to get drafted here. I got Jackson Dart going second round, pick 1 to the Cleveland Browns. Jalen Milroe, round 3, pick 4 to the Raiders. Tyler So, round 3, pick 19 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Quinn Ewers, round 4, pick 14 to the Dolphins. Will Howard, round 5, pick 11 to the Cowboys. Kyle McCord, round 6, pick 6 to the Jaguars. Riley Leonard, round 6, pick 8 to the Saints. And then Dylan Gabriel, who's not even ranked in the top 150 quarterback or 150 player rankings, but I have him at around 6, pick 31, going to the New York Jets. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to look out for my other videos I have on this channel, and let me know who you think is going to be the most underrated player in this draft class.